commence with the invocation led by Henry, followed by the flag salute.
Father in heaven, we ask your blessing today in the proceedings here. We ask for your guidance. We pray that you will give wisdom and prudence to our elected officials today in the decisions they have to make. Lord, keep us all mindful to be respectful of one another. Lord, let us leave discord and radical opinions and everything at the door. Let us be aware that we're all citizens of Marion County. If we work together with your guidance, Lord, we can solve all the issues in front of us. Lord, we admit you are the creator of this universe. You are the creator of us. You know the big picture. You have the plan. Lord, make it known to us that we can do your will. Lord, I offer this prayer today in the name of your Son and our Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, first thing on the agenda this morning is an employment interview for engineer position in Marion County. So, anything else? Is something you want to bring up before we get started?
No.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to move that we recess into executive session in order to discuss, number one, personnel matters and non-elected personnel for the interview of county engineer pursuant to KSA 75-4319B with the commission. Norm Bowers, our consultant, and the applicant for 45 minutes. We will resume back into the open session.
Aye.
Aye. To county engineer application pursuant to KSA 75-4319B with the commission and consultant Norm Bowers for 15 minutes until that'll be 10:04. We'll resume back into open session.
Second.
Moving second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Out of executive session, no action taken. I'm going to move that we recess into executive session in order to discuss personnel matters and non-elected personnel, in order to discuss county engineer position with the commission and Norm Bowers for 10 minutes until 10:16. We will resume in open session.
All right, second.
Okay, moving second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Does the commission feel we need any more time?
Yeah, I'd probably like to go in for 10, 15 minutes, whatever. What's the agenda time-wise?
We have plenty of time if this is our
Okay.
only
Yeah.
one.
Okay.
The other one canceled, correct?
Yes.
Yes, so if we went in until 10:30?
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Okay, I'll make a
We should
motion.
soon be coming down the
We
line.
recess into executive session in order to discuss personal matters and non-elected personnel in regards to the county engineer applications with the commission until 10:30, and then we will resume back in open session.
Second.
Move to second, all those in favor?
Pass it to Randy.
Aye.
Oh, okay.
And do
Okay,
those people
out
out
of
there,
executive session, no action taken.
do the other people out there know that it's done? Oh, yeah, okay, you can, Yeah, Dave?
We're gonna stay.
Okay, here's a couple more things for the mail folders, and I might pass those back down again once you look at those. Okay, let me see if I can get Bud's drawings up here.
There's one about your Diamond Vista in here project. Depends how to look at it.
Did let Bud know we were running a little bit early, so I'll see. Was hoping he would.
Did you have a good meeting?
Yes, we did, yeah, it's, we should have one first go around we slipped, but that's all right, we'll do better this time. What they're bringing back to us, the way I understood Bud, Saturday morning when he was down at Peabody, is they're bringing back some different diagrams of the building.
Hey there. Good morning.
Well, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing good this morning. How are you?
Well, I think
I
I'm
like your
hanging in.
hat. Make agriculture great again.
That's right.
It's another maggot.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
See if they can copy this real quick on it.
I guess we could go ahead and take a, I think we'll go ahead and take a 5-minute break.
Okay, that'd be good.
Give Bud a chance to get here. There you go, Yvonne. Give
He'll be here
people a
shortly.
chance to get a cup of coffee or.
I'll borrow you for just a moment.
I
This
guess I'll
time,
just have to shut it off.
turn that over to Randy for some transfer station discussion. Bud?
What we did is, Bud and I went to Junction City last Monday, yeah. And they had presented us a set of plans out there that what they had done so far. And so we had at least 6 different people there around us. I don't know, can't say every one of them what they were, or what they.
Well, we had the structural engineer was there, the architect was there, and the electrical, plumbing,
Yeah.
whatever you call him.
Yeah.
He was there, and then 3 of them were Caw Valley employees.
Due to the way that we're gonna rebuild this building that you see sitting in front of us, this is their plan. And we're still gonna have a north-south entrance into this building, so we know already from existing facts what the north-south wind does down there to our existing building. So we started looking at the doors. Well, if you look at this big plan that they had a 12-foot door there. I said,
That's not adequate.
no. I said, what is 12 foot good for? Well, that's what you got now. And I said, no, I don't think so. I think we got something. Well, what they had done is they had looked at the pit door that we have down here,
Oh,
and they transferred that up to this, to the actual floor. Well, some truck drivers has asked me, he said, well, they want a 20-foot door, but up there, a 20-foot wide.
20-foot wide?
Wide, yeah. This is 12-foot wide. And, but when Bud and I got back later on, it was the next day even, I think,
Next
maybe,
day.
we measured, and what's down there is a 16
Yeah.
right now. And that's a roll-up metal door like you see down there now, which they are heavy.
Yeah.
But even the employee down there said that it had blowed out or something off the track from
Yeah.
the north wind or
One
something.
time, yeah.
Yeah, so that's when we asked the employees what had happened down there. So I don't know, but I do think we need at least a 16, and my options to come back to you guys was whether we would go to between 16 to 18 or 20, something depends on.
On the little plans here, they put 18.
They put 18 footers,
Yeah.
okay, the ones that's gonna come. So that'll
Right.
be coming back. I'll let Bud address them here in just a little
Yeah.
bit.
So that'd be a change order basically, right?
No.
They haven't even.
This is
done-
pre-construction,
Yeah.
so we
We
don't
haven't
have
approved
nothing.
this project yet, so.
No, we haven't done nothing with it, so that's whatever we need to decide on what we wanna do there on that. Let's see. We also talked about the drain of the tipping floor. I don't know if they're gonna, did they come back with that to you yet?
No, they don't have anything on
What
that.
they originally said was it's gonna drain, everything's gonna drain into the pit
Right,
and then go down.
then go into the drain out of the pit into a sump where whenever it gets full, we get a back truck in there to suck it out, clean it out, you know.
Yeah,
However big of a container, pit, whatever you wanna call it, you put in out there, you know. And then that catches all the sediment and then the water goes out and drains out to the west.
there is a diagram there, or somewhere in this plan that I've got right there. What he's talking about, the edge of the building's here, this pit's down here. And this drain comes out here and first hits a sediment pit. And it was, I think they come back and said 1,100 gallons or 1,200 gallons, something like that. Then there's the flow goes right on through here. And this is a pump,
Lift station.
due to the hole, lift station that will pump the water off, but the drainage of the heavy stuff will stay in here, and that's what Bud's talking about, we'd have to vacuum out.
All the sediment out.
All the sediment into the sediment trap, so that's,
Is that a normal type situation in this scenario?
Yeah. Either that or else you'd have your helpers, if you had it just inside and then the water draining out, you'd have them scooping it out, and that's a scenario that I don't think we want to look at. We want to have it, you know, as
Well-
labor-free, you know.
I mean, you're talking about getting into another expense, hiring vacuum trucks.
yes, but that's due to the pit, and that's, you're gonna have some, due to the pit, is gonna have expense from here on. My only thoughts, I didn't say this in the meeting, I don't know if we talked about it on the way back. Did we ever see any floors that was draining everything to the pit?
The auto, or Osage.
Osage, the first one we went to.
Yes, that one, Lyon County, it had the drain in the
Yep.
middle,
Yeah.
and I
which was
think
okay.
it all sloped back to that drain and then went out to a
Side.
pit, somewhere for them. Pretty much all of them, I think, went to a pit of some sort.
Well, they went to the side, the floor drains went to the
Right.
side, but
Right.
the pit was here. But now the bigger cities have wet loads from McDonald's and garbage of all over, and so they have a lot more moisture maybe
Right.
than what, we do have some,
We
but
do have some, but what we get is mainly somebody that's held onto a trailer load of trash for a year, you know, and then they decide, oh, it's full, let's bring it in, it's
Right.
got how much rain, and when they dump it, you know, we get the sediment out of the bottom. We get some trash loads that are that way, we get some roll-offs that are that way, but it's not every day.
I'm not an expert. The only thing that I see is if we push everything down in there, that goes to the hole, it goes through that sediment pit that I just drew you a picture of, and then we pump it out. I don't know that that's the right thing, but it's a concern of mine.
Yeah, we have to be able to dispose of that somewhere.
Yeah, there's gonna be
Whether-
some no matter what.
Yeah,
But we're pushing out all of our trash down there.
right.
And if any excess, it's, all the water's gonna go that way too, so.
And
But that's a better scenario than drains on a tipping floor, because otherwise,
Yeah,
you're
they're
not gonna
gonna
have
fill
a
that.
flat tipping floor if you have to put angles to get things to drain.
And when we saw Emporia is what we was talking about, Lyon County.
Yeah, like,
The day we was there, they was having to lift those drains out, clean them, and they would just,
I was gonna say that, to me, that just looked like.
it was ugly.
Yes.
It was ugly, it really
they
was.
started out with a 4-inch pipe, and they've gone to a bigger one, but he wished he would've went bigger yet,
Yeah,
because the trash gets in there,
and
and
stops
then
it.
it stops it up, and then they have to root it out.
Yeah.
But, you know,
And my only other concern is, I think this is the first building these folks have built, the transfer station, so value that. I'm just telling you, just value that. We've had other engineers that was the first rodeo, and yeah. So I'm not saying they may be doing a great job. I'm not knocking it. It's just the idea of that. So that's the only thing on one of the things on the floor. The doors. Now, did you get a height in the building? They said it was plenty high.
I'm thinking, he didn't give me a height, but, Randy said that if you needed him we could call him if you wanted to talk to him today. I'm thinking, if I remember right, 22 foot is the wall heights for the building, because I think that's what the old building is.
Okay. What we have troubles with right now, and I want you to think about this, is I made a mistake saying belly dumps up there, but it's barrel dumps where you see the round barrel dump trucks. When they come,
That's mostly demolition, isn't it?
mostly demolition, when they come in, they have hit our lights in the building down here, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Before I took it, but yeah.
So, yeah, right.
Right.
This can't be
Sure.
helped with what we
Right,
got.
no, you can't help it.
But can we help it going into the new one? That's my question. So we talked about this on the way home. We didn't ask them there in the meeting that day.
Yeah.
But we wanted to make sure that somewhere that we don't have that happen again. We want it high enough to clear the belly dump trucks.
I think the roof, if I remember right, it's gonna be designed, it's gonna be,
A little slope. It might give you 2 or 3 more foot, but
yeah,
not much.
not much.
So,
And when you've got a 30-foot trailer, you know, it's gonna go up, you know, it doesn't go the full 30 foot, but it'll probably go good 25, 26 foot up, you know.
yeah, so that's
And
So what would we have to do then?
just
just
extend the
extend,
building.
make sure we have the walls high enough
Yeah.
to get the roof high enough.
Did you saw Reno County, Person County? didn't
I
you?
did see
Yeah.
persons, yes.
Did you see how tall that was?
Yes.
That's way up.
Yeah, it's way up
Yeah,
there.
you can take
So,
any type of end-up trailer in there and dump it.
so that's, I think that is that a goal for us, is my question to us. I think it is, personally, but, you know,
Well,
we
it's
don't
a-
have very
it's
many
a-
of them. Go ahead, Ken.
Well, it's gonna depend on how much it's gonna raise the cost of the building too.
Okay, well, that's,
Because you're gonna look at a sizable price increase
Right.
to accommodate, what we don't know.
yeah, right.
I mean, right now, they've got the walls, you know, figured on what they've given you estimates on, you know. So if we raise the walls up another 5 foot, you know, that's gonna add to that.
I mean, if we keep blowing the budget out of the water, which really it's not set, but if we keep blowing the engineer's estimate out of the water,
Yeah.
then, you know, that's gonna be a different issue to deal with altogether.
And I never asked the workers down there, when you and I was down there, but we stopped down there and got some of their viewpoints too, down with the workers down there. And you've been there and dumped a belly dump then, right?
Yeah, when they
Or
dump,
a barrel dump, excuse
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, I've been there when they
Okay.
dumped, yeah.
So, what can we live with is what I wanna ask, I guess.
Basically, I think what we've got figured, because when they started this project, I told them, I said, this high or higher. Well, the walls are yay high, but then they've got that flat roof in there with them trusses across there, you know, hanging down, and that's what they're hitting. So if the roof was above the wall that's down there now, I don't think we would have a problem.
Well, that's
You
something
know,
we have to see
What we
what
need to
got.
make sure that when it's built, that it doesn't come back down into the wall space 2 foot, you know, because then you're defeating 2
But
foot.
3 foot or 3 to 5 foot of wall height would make a world of difference.
Oh, yeah.
We're not gonna have it heated, so it's not gonna make no difference in heating or cooling.
And right now, when they dump, you know, they have to pull up, and sometimes they have to back up, pushing the trash back and then pull back forward, because they doesn't, well, for one thing, we can't dump it right off the back, because we got that ledge there, you know, that flat roof that's on the south side of the building itself, you know, and then it goes up to the,
You're talking existing building.
yeah, the existing building. See, we're not gonna have that problem right off the bat.
Right,
With the
right.
new
That may
building.
change some things.
Yes, you're gonna have probably another, I think that's 15 foot.
Yeah.
So that's gonna help you out a lot there. You can start
Right where
dumping
they,
a lot quicker.
right where they back the little
Yeah.
skid steer in.
Right,
That
right.
part of the building has a lower roof, and it hinders us from using that first 15 foot of the building.
Right.
Right.
So that's one problem there. So that's a couple of things. We talked about steepness of the slope. The north side, that electric wire is a little steeper than the south side will be due to that electric wire that's the Marion City electric wire that's in that property. However, I think the slope of the plan that they had is still even better than what we're working with today.
Right.
It's a little longer.
Yeah.
it would be best if we could go out another 6-8 foot on both sides, probably.
It would.
But whether we can or not, I don't. They seem to think it's going to be good enough. Let's see. Then, as you see in this plan, what's been brought in is a shower. In this corner up here, the right-hand corner, is a shower, a stool, another complete bathroom up here. Knowing how dirty inside these buildings are and stuff like that, I said, wow. I mean, then we got to have heat for water and stuff like that. So during our conversation up there, we started kicking things around and seeing what we could do. And I said, well, I'd like to move this office from this corner over to this far corner over here. Can you see where I'm, just straight across the top,
Right.
and put it in there. Well, when I did that, I saw this 9-foot overhead door, which is for the public. Well, what it looks like to me we're doing is we're pushing everything over here in this corner. We've got the Jersey barriers here. We got a bigger building. I don't foresee. It makes it harder for a backhoe to get in. Now, if you're still going to use a Bobcat, it'd be all right maybe. But I think we need to move the door to the center of the building, over here between these two columns, and even possibly put 2 in. I'm not going to say we couldn't put 2 9-foot overhead doors here. In the center, in between these 2 center posts here, right in the middle of this deal. And then when we put the office over here, well, we put a tape measure down at this building for 16-foot diagonal across here, and that's not too big. So then Bud told me they recommended a 10 by 11 or something like that.
That's what the office is over there on the east side of the building. It's like a 10 by 11, which is plenty big for that, what we're going to utilize it for there in that building.
So then we have also on the outside of this, from this same corner that we're in where I proposed building that, we have a retaining wall extending to the west. So after Bud and I was standing down there talking, another plan was, did they do this or not, Bud? Did they put a little office? They've drawn a little office out here, clear at this corner on these new plans that we will see here in a little bit, because I haven't seen those. And my thinking, your scales is right here. You see the scales out of this office. You also, if we extend ours or do something different with these 2 garage doors for the public, your person will be sitting there looking at it. And can you see, Diane?
I can see, yeah, I'm fine.
But if this little office, a little small office was here, if this 2 doors moved here to where you dump stuff here into the floor, keep the public off the floor, you have your office here, they monitor what goes on out here, and also we have a stem wall already here, so it's a matter of when they fill this back in of going ahead and making 2 walls here to make this an office. But everything's visible to the scales out here and this end. Whereas now, your new office over here, you can't see across to the scales. This office, you can't see the scales.
Because of the building.
Because of the
little
building.
shack,
And then you have a
transformer station. Yeah.
transformer station sitting right there.
So on that office, we would have to have a camera system set up.
Over here,
Yeah.
So what you're saying is this has been addressed in the new plan?
I'm going to see here. We've mentioned this to them, but I didn't know what they
I
came
just
up
got
with.
these just 30 minutes ago or so, something like that from Colorado.
All I'm going over is what we talked about Friday afternoon. Bud's going to tell us what they've done. He knows that. I don't know a thing from what they've done. But I'm just saying this might be an option right here to put 2 garage doors, 2 people could pull up and dump, not bother this flow through here. If we extend ours someday, just saying if that works out, this person, I would only want 1 person there, and would be for this trash, not for this trash. It would be for trash. What you guys do, if he'll show you some pictures that he's got of his dumpster out here of the mornings, you'll we need to think about it and what we're gonna do, whether we're gonna close this with, so that, because if you leave something out there, people are gonna throw, it's like we talked about, they're gonna throw it away. And what I related back to this weekend is City of Peabody had their citywide cleanup, and here again, but when we did it, we put dumpsters down there, back when I was mayor, and people filled, well, one person brought in about 120 tires one day and filled it. Tina probably knows who I'm talking about. And then other times they just overload it and throw it on it's just a mess, but our trash boys pick that up then. But we don't want to do that with our everyday services for Marion County. So those are some of the things, and then while we was down there talking, and when Bud and I come back the next day and talk down here, we went to this, and one of the workers down there says, no, this is going to have grates, this gray area that you see, that is a grade system. Well, he said, what are you going to do about that? He says, everything that's in here blows, dirt, and this is just a grate system. You all know what steel grates are. Everything that lands over here is going to go to the pit, down underneath. I don't know that that's a good idea. I think you eliminate, I don't know what kind of flooring here we do, because they're trying to build this out of metal for the new building. But you could have the skid plate, but that's slick and dust gets on it.
You could still put a walking tread
Well,
on that.
something.
Yeah.
But it's up to us to decide whether we want that garbage, whether it's blowing, whether we hope that it won't get over our dump wall.
Mhm.
We don't think it'll do that, but I think what you'll see is like you see on the backside of existing, this is just like walking around the existing building today. I think you'll see papers, trash, and all that kind of stuff back here, and I don't want it to go down. Why would we want it to go to the pit? That's
So
just,
what could we do there, Randy? What would they say that we could
Well,
do
you-
differently?
You could either put a concrete floor there, or you could put a solid metal.
It'd have to be a solid floor or something.
Yeah, and I think, building-wise, it would probably be easier to do the metal floors, you know, than to try to, form up and pour concrete there.
Yeah, you're talking about a lot of concrete.
what I'm looking at is the workability of the building. I'm not looking at cost or anything, but I don't know that I want to put this in, and then after it's built and they start coming, well, we have 5 tons of trash goes around and goes down through to the pit. And we don't want, you want to keep stuff out of that pit. I've seen too many pits.
Yeah, the bigger stuff isn't gonna go through, because those grades aren't gonna have you got the dust, you know, you've got all kinds of.
Yeah,
So
it's
you
gonna
want to
clean
scoop it
that.
out the pit more
Yeah.
frequently.
Yeah, you would, and that's one of the guidelines, is you're supposed to keep your pit clean, you know. And all the seminars I go to, they've got pictures of places that, they're nasty.
Pits.
Yeah, pits, the pits. And they said they just cleaned it out the day before. Well, if they did, they have an enormous amount of trash coming in, because it was flat.
And I think we can see that if you went to Lyons County and seen that one, like Bud and I did, you can see that just the difference between Marion County's trash and Empoриa's trash is
Yeah.
a world of difference, you know. So they have a lot of trash. So anyway, that's a concern of mine. But then when I saw this restroom up here, I said, man, we got one down here 30 foot away, 50 foot away. And nobody at that meeting could tell us that we have to have one in there. Now Bud's got some information now that says we have to have a restroom here. I'm
But
just
not necessarily there. It has to be
somewhere,
in the
some
facility.
facility available.
It has to be in that facility, yeah.
Facility available. So I think the best place maybe is over here in this office maybe then if we have to have a restroom. I don't know. I'm just,
It makes the most sense if you're gonna have open doors for the public on the same side.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, you don't wanna build one over on this end and the other
Well,
over
like you
on
said,
this
you're
end.
gonna have to have a camera
Yeah,
so you
and
can watch it.
And so that is some of the concerns. Now, right now, let's talk about how you're going to get into this, Bud. Am I right in saying that this sidewalk is going to come up to somewhere in the building right
the
here?
east side of the building, yeah.
The what? East side?
East side of the building.
They're going to go right straight into the building right now, underneath of here. Then they're going to go over here to the middle.
So it's kind of a in-between level.
So when you come to work in the morning, you're going to come over here in this office, you've got a sidewalk, you're gonna come over to here, you're gonna go up the steps, get in the building, you're gonna come up here, go up, then you're finally gonna get on the tipping floor. It's a jaunt.
Yes.
It is a jaunt to get to there. One reason why that we was at Emporia's, they had a set of stairs on the outside of a building, and they said in the ice and stuff, that gets pretty slick,
Yeah.
especially if we'd be up here on the north side of this building, it would be slick to do that unless we enclosed it or something like that. So, now, Bud, something that we didn't do that I'm looking at right here, did you set the length of the pit? 43?
43. Even though we got a 50-foot trailer, because I don't know how long it's gonna take, but they're pulling in from the north. So they can stop and fill the front part of the trailer, and then if they pull forward another 5 foot, then they can finish off the back of the trailer. You see what I'm saying?
We didn't talk about this is new. When I see this 43 number, we didn't get into that,
We
because I forgot
have-
about the 50-foot trailer.
We have 3 45-foot trailers right now, and that 43-foot would be just perfect for the packing and stuff. The 45-foot trailer is the one we are using for recycling right now, and it holds just about everything that we could pull in 2 weeks' time, you know. That's
Do you have a 50-foot coming?
that's one we have.
Oh, that's
50
50 foot.
foot.
Okay.
The newest one we bought is 50 foot.
Okay.
Yeah, and we kind of kicked that number around, and just thinking off the top of my head, I figured, okay, how long is it going to take to replace the 3 trailers with 50 footers? You know, since we're going to have a building to pay for and stuff like that, you know, these things are going to have to probably be online for a few years. You know, eventually, even if you do get replaced to the 50-foot trailers, it's not going to take much to.
Can we stop this a minute, Bud? We're gonna have a crowd moved out here or something.
I understand.
So Randy, by moving the bathroom and the office to this side, just by what you said, makes a little more sense for the different points that you brought out.
It seems like when I've sat on, not so bad now, we've got in the last 10 years, we've put traffic lights up for green and red, you know, when you pull on the scales,
Yes.
and that's better. But before, when there was nothing, you had to wait for the guy to come out and wave you on.
Yeah.
And it was, because it's out there, and the pit's a different place, but I think if the office is there, on this end, I think that it will be more.
I mean, other than water lines and things like
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
I
That's-
can't picture that it would be that much of a big deal to change that, would it?
We'll just have to ask him, see
I
exactly.
do have a number
Yeah.
from Randy about that. He said if you do put it on the outside, you could probably look at about 10,000
For their bathrooms.
for the office bathroom area. And that's on the set of plans that I brought
Okay.
to you
Okay.
guys. But yeah,
So, I guess really, that's some of the major things we talked about. I don't know why I said the height of the southeast corner. I don't know why I wrote that down. I don't know, I X'd it out too, so I don't know what that was for. Middle door on the west side, whether we want 1 or 2, whether you see that after seeing in Reno counties, they had 2, and I could understand 2 cars pulling up there on a Saturday, and
McPherson,
McPherson,
They
McPherson
have-
had, yes.
they
McPherson
have
had.
4, I think.
4? Okay, I know, but 2 of them
For
was
the
used.
public building,
They
yeah.
have more than 2.
Yeah, they have 4, I believe.
Yeah, so that's something, I don't know that we need more than 2, but I think 2 would be plenty, just
Right,
check that around.
and you'll notice in
And as long as we keep, whatever we do with the door in between the pillars here, that don't cost no more on the building then. The width of the door, whether you said they have 18 now?
Yeah.
18-foot wide door, so as long as you stay in between the pillars, now if you want to move that door over here and move a pillar, then
Oh,
you,
yeah.
that's where you've really got
Because
some problems,
didn't they
so.
say they had 25 foot between pillars?
Yes, 25 foot, yeah.
So even a 20-foot door would fit in there, but from looking at ours and discussing everything with guys down at the transfer station, they thought 16 foot or 18 would be substantial, you know. The
And
scenario we were giving them, you know, we have 2 or 3 trash trucks out there. one pulls in and dumps, the other one can come in, pull around the trash and back up, dump in front of it, and then the third one can still get around the trash, because the trash isn't gonna be right next to the door. It's gonna be in quite a ways, so they have room for it to come in. Now, you wouldn't be able to get an in dump, you know, barrel dump, in there. It would have to be a one-time thing, you know.
How many of them a year do you have? 10, 15?
Yeah, it just depends on what's going on in the county. you
Right,
know.
and how many times?
And then the roll-offs, they come in on the straight frame trucks, so we don't have a problem with that, but they are longer than a trash truck, you know, but still, they would probably have room to get around if we had to dump them real quick and get them down the road, you know.
The bigger dumpsters is what we're talking about right now, the roll-offs that they pick up for construction sites and bring them in, and then the trailer on the truck, or the bed on the truck tilts. And when they tilt that, that gets up there quite a ways too, when they tilt that up.
Do we
and
get
dump.
very many of those?
Oh, yeah, we're on an average of one a week or better.
Especially when there's a house demolition, because there may be 5 to 10 loads coming down to you.
Right.
So I guess I'm gonna conclude, so Bud can get started here, with, that was some of the issues. I was definitely, I did not see a need for a restroom. Bud's telling us we gotta have one. I just, there's so many of them out here that don't have them. Why are they picking on us to?
But do we need to
They're-
shower and all that stuff in this
Well,
building?
I'll
I mean, do we
address
need
that
all
too.
that?
Yeah.
I'll address that too, because my main concern was shower and eye wash, you know. If we have it over in the main building, which you got a shop area there, so you pretty much have to have one there, you know. So anyway, I'll address that.
Okay, I'll let Bud go ahead.
Oh,
So,
okay.
the plans that I gave you that are tiny here,
Fine.
we have the large printout,
Good,
but,
Oh.
thank you.
My,
Thank
my,
you.
Thank you.
my printer won't do that, so.
so
Sorry.
I'll
thank
take
you.
the little one back, so you don't get them all mixed up. There we go. Okay, that's fine.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, that top sheet is just showing you the schematic of the whole outside area with the office on the outside of the building in the northwest corner. And that would be 11 and a half by 18 foot addition onto the outside of the building there.
Okay.
Is what that would be. Okay, so if you turn, also, while we're on that page, let me just clarify. We do have to have in the pit area a walk-in door, both on the north end and the south end. We can't, in case of a fire, we gotta have access. And so, if we go on the east side of each overhead door, there's room to do it. If you have to get out, then you just go up the ramp, you know, to get out of the building. And if you're running out the building, you're gonna run no matter what. But anyway, that's required, and so that takes care of exiting that part of the building.
53 and 52, while you're there in the center of the right-hand side of the building, that is that sediment pit first, then the pump the second. 53 is the sediment pit, 52 is the pump.
Yeah.
Lift station, okay?
And then, of course, down to feed that, there's the pit is gonna slope to the middle, and then there's gonna be a graded area right there for all the stuff to run into, and then it'll run out of the pit into that sump area outside. So that's how the building is gonna be designed to do. Once again, one of the guidelines that KDHE has for us is we're supposed to wash the floor down every day. And once again, like Randy says, the ones that we toured, if they washed them down every day, they're not doing a very good job. But anyway,
Does it
Well,
take a lot of
the
job
appearance
to
of
do?
that.
I'm just assuming, since we're building a new facility, they're gonna probably be looking at us, you know, to make sure we're doing everything by the guidelines. So that's just,
Make us the example.
I know. But anyway, okay, if you turn to the second page, that's got everything taken care of that we had discussed that is required, you know, the exit doors and stuff, the walk-in doors and whatnot, because the overhead doors are gonna be electric, but if you got a fire, you're not gonna wanna try to sit there, and you're gonna wanna get out as quickly as you can, so. Okay, the second page, it shows the office bathroom area inside of the northwest corner there. And you see how much room, and they've added the 2 9-foot overhead doors. They've moved the Jersey barriers to the south from where they were. And this area here, which was on the south side of the Jersey barriers, is going to be for recycling, and that is just exactly the same square footage we have right now. So everything would work. The main thing is as Randy and I discussed, moving the Jersey barriers away from the wall so we have a drive-through space so we can come back in there and push everything out instead of grabbing a hold of it and trying to drag it back. You know, the more you can keep going forward, the better off it's going to be. The less you have a tendency to maybe to hit something. The same way with going into, we wouldn't need to put the recycle next to the Jersey barrier, so you could pull around through there and get the public dumping and push it to the pit. You know, so that they've got it drawn that way, but you can move it to the east and create a driving lane for the packing, pushing tractor. So anyway,
And they've also got in the doors down here,
Yeah.
18-footers over here.
Yeah.
Both your
they
entrances.
drew in 18 because that's what we were discussing that day, but then we found out 16. But you know, if we can, you know, the 18 would probably be a little bit better in my books. You know, after looking at our 16s down there and visualizing it in the building, but it's going to be different because you're going to have a wide open space that you can pull through and pull into. You're not going to have a wall. You're not going to have a pillar in the way. It's going to be wide open. You know, you're going to have the Jersey barriers over there, but you're not going to be driving through that far. You know, we're going to try to keep them within what I'm going to call the tipping floor area where we want them to dump. You know, so
I guess one of the, you know, we've seen so many places with outdoors. I mean, they just have an open end wall, but they was the east-west design like this, only their west wall was open and all of this was enclosed in here to where they didn't have so much trash blow out. But we know due to our existing building that if you leave these doors open and that wind's whistling through there, when you dump trash, it's going to blow out. So that's, we've just about got to have the doors on this design. I'd like to not have them, but I don't think you can do it.
yeah.
I think we would blow trash out, and we got enough problems with keeping things clean anyway.
Well,
so.
you take Saturday morning, for example, when the wind changed and it was blowing, they dumped something down there, they were having to dump, you know, shut the door before anybody could dump, because even what the public was bringing in was blowing.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, you take typical 40-mile-an-hour Kansas wind, it's gonna move the trash, you know?
Yeah.
Even if it's a trash bag, it's gonna
It's
move
a 40-mile-an-hour wind. By the time it hits those doors, it's going to be 50.
Seems like it.
Yeah, and then whipping around in there, plus we got the pit open and stuff. This is what's gonna be nice, is the pit's gonna be closed down, the doors are gonna be shut, so we're not gonna have that going through there, you know?
Right.
So we're
So
gonna,
that's just, I'm just
Yeah.
pointing out the things that we probably got to have due to the way this was, the north-south winds blowing through here. I think
And
that's what's good about it.
Randy Purdue mentioned to me this morning when I called him back about what we could estimate the bathroom being on the outside. He said the outside, the inside would be less. He said it would be a lot simpler to build it over here on the northwest corner than trying to build it over top of the pit here, because they got to figure out how to insulate the pipes and everything to keep them from freezing, how to enforce it, you know, reinforce it so it doesn't create a hazard and stuff. So he said, by all means, moving it to the west end would be a plus. I know the guys down there at the transfer station prefer to have it over on the east end, and I told them, I said, well, we're looking at safety and stuff like that. I mean, yeah, I want everything to be perfect, but it can't be, you know. We're just gonna have to do what we can do. And if you look at the last page, then that's the diagram with the bathroom office area on the outside, and that's the one that Randy came up with too the other day. Now, they didn't realize that Randy had said west of the building. I had visioned it north of the building, you know, and I never told them where to put it, but they automatically drew it up west of the building, which is the best place to put it in case, you know, you do go to the extended hours and a person can watch the public dumping then, you know. So.
Now, let me ask you this, is this the open office area out here clear to the west end? So
Yes.
if we have windows towards the
Yes.
scales
Yes.
and windows towards the,
Yep.
if there would probably be a cement pad right out here
Yes.
in this area right here to the south of that office, just so that things can be monitored.
Yeah, all you need is one on the west side, one on the south side.
That was to also block the north wind off of these two doors,
Right.
extending out there
Public
for the
outlet,
wintertime when people come up there. I think it will.
Yeah, you take,
Help you.
going out there almost 19 foot, you know,
Yeah.
that's gonna be a pretty good windbreak.
That's gonna be a pretty good windbreak
Yep.
for the people to back in here and put the door. This one's still here. I don't know whether it would move over and go in between these.
Actually, I think they moved this one, Randy, to the south more.
Did they?
Yeah, because I think in the original plans, it was over to the.
Yeah, it was closer over that way, yeah.
But what you're saying is if we go to the outside instead of staying on the inside, it's an additional 10,000.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, that's what they said to add to it, but by the time you get done, once they figure out how to reinforce this over there and stuff, you know, but he said just to figure 10,000 on two if you move it over. And you know,
But there
like-
may be, what you're saying is there may be additional just by moving it over into the inside of the building too.
there would still be an
In
addition.
comparison to
Yes, yes.
leaving it over here.
Yes,
Right.
probably.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Wonder why.
Just the link to the water line, sewer line.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Most of it is on the east side.
Utilities.
Yeah,
most of it's on the-
utilities, on the outside you have the walls going up, you know, the external walls. Where here you've already got the external wall built and you're just adding inside. This was utilizing dead spaces, is what I was thinking of when we designed it this way, you know.
So then I have a question on the viewing, other than this being a nice wind block,
Right.
having it extend like that, if you have it on the inside like this, would you still have the good view
You would
of
still-
watching what's going on out here through this? Would you be able to
Yes.
still see that without having a
Well,
camera system or something?
You would see the inside, what the people are throwing in, but you'd still have the view of the scales. Because you'd have a window on the west side, you could still see the scales.
Okay, so that would
Yes.
still enhance the view.
That would still enhance, yeah.
But,
I guess my thoughts when we took the tape measure across when we was in the old building and just went across here to see if we could put it in a corner, sort of like this, whether it's on the inside or the outside. What I seen is we were using up the expensive part of the floor. And instead of, this is the expensive part in here, this should be cheaper out here it's not gonna be cheaper a whole lot, but I'm just saying that we're using the wrong part of the building there. That was my only thoughts there.
I see what your point is.
Whether that's a valid point or not, I can't tell you, but I was just telling you
Well,
that's what I was looking
You know,
at.
I just soon not use up any good space in the building, you know.
We want the building to first
Yeah.
space, so.
Yeah, you're taking away square
Space.
footage.
Yeah, and then you'd have to put, you know, if you have it on the inside, you'd have to have the push wall around the office area, so you're not
No, right.
caving it in, you know, and stuff.
Right into the office.
One other thing that we did discuss, and I didn't have it wrote down, but I know we did, is, on the sidewalls. We seen Osage, Rena, McPherson, where they had the lighter panels down for lighting come through. Bud has a problem, and when I went down there the other day, in a dark day, it wasn't sunny, he has to run his lights. I was trying to get away from running lights. But anyway, that's another thought that they didn't have it figured in when I kicked it around to them. I don't know whether they brought anything back on that yet or not, whether to put those lighter panels in to let light through, so.
On the roof,
Oh, no,
And
on
the
the
on
sidewalls.
the sidewalk.
Sidewalls.
Yeah, we've seen it both ways, so.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, there is some buildings has it on the roof, but I wanted a metal roof, and those ones that hail, I don't know how strong they are, but,
But on the sidewalls, they do let in
Yeah.
a lot of light, you know.
yeah, so.
So,
I was trying to get the most light that we can, especially on the south and the west side. Now, the north, I don't think it probably needs it. Maybe it does. I'd have to get somebody that knows what they're talking about to do that. But that was the other thing, so that's what we did, and I guess that's some of the, what are they wanting right now to move ahead, Bud? Do you know?
you guys need to basically decide which floor plan you'd like to have. How big the doors you want, where you want the office bathroom area. Like I said, I just sent a couple of emails the next morning and got my answers that yes, it's required by KDHE to have bathroom facility, a place to wash your hands, and a place to get drinking water in the facility. And then I asked about the shower eye wash station, and that was a Kansas Department of Labor call, and the guy got back and said, if you're handling corrosive items, yes, and with what we handle coming in the trash, we don't know what it is, and it has to be, so many steps or so many feet, 10 seconds, you ought to be able to getting there. So if you get something in your eyes and you're gonna go over into the shop office area that they're building now, I just don't foresee getting there in 10 seconds, you know. But that's what I found out, so.
And then what about the issue on the grading?
The grading's the other issue, that whether we need to, did they address any of that?
I didn't get a
Because
chance.
we didn't
We
do
didn't
that
talk,
fair.
we talked that after.
We was here at
That's-
Marion facility.
And that can be, you know, I can tell them we do not want the grading system up top. It can either be solid steel or concrete. And if we're not driving on it, I don't think it
Well, I
can
think
be that.
if we bring up concrete, we're talking about a huge expense.
Well, yeah, that was mentioned there. They said that the biggest expense on concrete is forming it up. Concrete itself is, but you gotta compare that.
Well, I mean, I guess
It's all the
it
same
would,
thing.
it would be good if we knew what that was gonna cost. So I guess those two alternatives.
I'll tell them solid steel and a concrete floor, whatever they feel needs to be.
I think the door widths are kind of a no-brainer on
Yeah,
that.
I think
At
so.
18 foot,
Right,
if we
right.
got 18 foot, we can utilize it.
Yes, yeah.
Yes.
I mean, if you get a semi crossways in there, you
Yeah.
just need the room.
Yeah.
I guess my next question would be is, how do you feel about whether you could always build it with one and later come back and put another one in, but it's sure be a lot. The two garage doors for the public, down here on the west side there, where they have.
We had figured in one, didn't we?
Yes, yes.
I'm trying to think of what that number was on that. It wasn't huge.
I don't think we know because they haven't drawn.
Oh, they
it.
haven't, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They haven't done anything, they just estimated.
It's all estimates so far.
Yeah, but, you know, if you're gonna do it now.
That's what I would say.
You know,
Otherwise,
it's
you're
always
talking-
hard to
You're
go.
talking about a big expense to
Expense
start.
later.
You've got the
Breaking
manpower to
into the
go and
building.
cut it out, and like Randy said, putting in two, and that way you have the public, you can have two people dumping at the same time. I think the public would appreciate that more than waiting.
Well, what we've seen there in McPherson County, I just fell in love with, where the public's not on the floor, they're away from you, they do it themselves, they throw it over, and if it does build up, the guy that would be maintaining the after hours would be able just to grab the tractor, he would have to be able to do that, push it just out of the side of the way of the doors, and then he could handle the
I
rest of the
mean,
shift.
yeah, the way I visualized that, there wasn't any small stuff coming onto the tipping floor. It was all big trash trucks.
Yeah, yes, yes.
And they also had it set up that if you absolutely had to go on the tipping floor, it cost you $65 to get on there, so.
So that, and I think that can be handled later when we get to it. I want to address that later, but as of right now, I think we're just headed to where it's make it accessible for the public here. And the office, if we have to have it, my preference would be over here to where, well, I guess you see the scales on this picture, right out here where you can look at it. The scales from there to here. That's what you're looking at. Right on this one, the big one right there. And that's, which one have I got? The first one? Yeah,
First
one.
page.
That's the
First
first
page,
page.
yeah, first page. That's what you see with the building, right out to the scales.
Yes,
Okay.
There's the other building that we're talking about, this one-story metal building, that is the city of Marion's, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
but
why
then
it blocks all the view from everything over to the scales.
And then the transformer station's right north of it,
Right.
you can't see past that either, so.
So,
I don't know. I think We're looking at more money, but to take away very many square foot with that office is also a detriment.
I think so.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts, Diane?
I agree. I think this is the time to make any changes that we can make. And since we're into it this far, we'd be foolish not to make these accommodations to be right.
Right.
It needs to be done right.
Right.
From what we're doing today, it looks like it would be right.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. That would be my thing. think we'll be happier in the long run.
I think so.
Or just spend the money and do what we, I mean,
Yes.
it will be for the worst, but.
So that give you a pretty good feel for what we're looking at then?
Yeah, yeah.
Can I just restate what I
Yeah.
think the
Yes.
consensus is of the board, that 18-foot door width for the overhead doors?
Right.
Okay, that you are okay with having 2 public access doors,
Yes.
and then okay with having the office building an additional structure to the outside? Is that
Yes.
your-
One
okay.
more thing. We'd like the grading addressed over there, if we can possibly have two different ways to go on grading, whether it be cement or whether it be metal. I think we know the cost difference to, they're gonna have to spend some money to spend some time to do that, but
I'm sure they can figure that up pretty quick.
I would think so. So that we have a solid floor behind the hole, behind the pit.
Right. Okay,
Either way.
one other thing that the guys at the transfer station, right now, the wall that's behind the pit, you know, we got the sides coming in, and then straight, and then the wall to keep the trash from flopping out. It's got like an inch and a half, it's got metal, channel iron, so it can be replaced, and it's got an inch and a half gap in between each piece. And they're concerned down there, they'd like to see that be put back to solid. So, you know, that's another thing that Doug was talking about the other day to us. You know what I'm talking about. When we were at Osage County, we were
Right.
standing behind
Right.
the concrete. Okay, well, the way they, Colorado Valley has it designed right now, it's
Freestanding metal.
yeah, and it's got, in between each piece of metal, there's like an inch and a half gap. And they did that for cost purposes. So do you wanna keep that, or do you wanna make it a solid metal wall back there? That one transfer station I toured in Wichita last fall, it had all metal, all the way around, probably 12, 14 foot high. But there was an outfit that had a transfer station in California that went out of business, and he bought that out there and when he was building this, and that's what he's got. Not backed by concrete or nothing, it's just, channel, or I-beam, with just metal welded on the front of it, and that's all they do, and it's just bolted to the floor, not even attached to the outside wall of the building whatsoever. And they're pushing with, huh?
They push against that?
Yeah, they're even pushing with a solid, or with a big rotary loader. You know, probably about the size of what Road and Bridge has, is what they're using to push their trash in with, so. But anyway,
Why don't you put that as an option,
Option
see
two.
what's going on
a
there.
solid metal instead of,
Yeah. Tina, also for years was wall panels with light on the wall panels. And also, we haven't talked about addressing it. They have it figured out as all this retaining wall that they push against the solid. They didn't have no metal figured in, right?
no, it's just
Along the
concrete.
sides, concrete. They didn't have no metal along the walls to where you push, where we saw it over the first
And how high was that, 3 foot?
3 to 4, yeah, 42 inches, something like
I think
that.
that's what they got figured,
Mhm.
42 inch.
42 inches, what they got, yeah.
Well,
you
then
just-
how you, if you don't have that, we're gonna get a lot of wear on it,
You're gonna be gouging in, you know, I mean, yeah,
So they didn't have nothing figured for the metal, for push walls along the sides. They didn't have that either. That was something else we discussed. I think we need to look at it.
we brought it up to them, you know, and they said, you know, they thought that the concrete would wear good, and from what we saw over, you know, they
Well,
built that.
I mean, it just depends on how careful your drivers are,
Yes,
basically.
They
I
built
mean,
the
you
first
could have
one
one
back in
driver
the
that never make a
mid-nineties.
scratch and another guy chop a hole in it.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, that has a lot to do with the operators. You know, of course, that's training.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, maybe we can get away from the metal.
Maybe we can. I would like to see the cost, with what their estimates
I
are.
mean,
for
you're
price.
talking, anytime you get talking about that much metal, you're talking about a
Yeah,
lot of
a
money.
lot of money. Like that in there too, just for an option. So we can see what it costs. I think that's pretty well it, folks. I think
Okay,
that's
well, I'll get back with them then and tell them.
height of the building, and that's something else that I want to know what that is.
Yeah, I'll find out for sure.
Okay.
I did forget to ask Randy that this morning.
one more question of
Yeah.
you. But, and it was brought up, I think it was a legitimate question from a constituent. What would be the possibility of moving the weed department down there?
It would be really possible. We'd need another building, for one thing, for the HHW storage and the chemical for weeds.
So are we talking about heated buildings?
The ones, yeah, you'd have to have the one chemical side heated. The HHW side you wouldn't have to, because there wouldn't really be anything in there.
But there's not enough room in the existing building, the new building that we're putting
No,
up.
no, you don't have enough room. You need a building the size we have up on the hill right now for this. Because basically our office area has taken out a lot of the storage area, because our chemicals and HHW are stored in the same room. And from all of the,
It makes some sense, plus it allows a lot more space for road and bridge, and you know what we're facing up there.
Yeah.
and as far as the office area, the new office that's being built right now could be utilized for all 4 departments.
Right,
We
so
could
we
work out of that
would just
office.
be talking about another.
Probably another
additional
40 by 60 building. I think that's what the one up there is. Maybe it's 40 by 40. I can't remember what the measurements are on it right now. But something that size.
I mean, that's something for the commission to think about. I don't know
Yes.
if we're in a position to do it, but we're gonna have to do something with road and bridge. One of these days.
There is access, when we was down by the dirt pile that's gotta be moved, there is access right here. This is where that dirt pile is existing right now.
Right.
There is room, looks like room enough to have setbacks and have that building put there. So it would be just an open space in between there where they can get to the building. Looks like it's
So
possible.
boy, it would make life a lot easier for you.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Plus it'd make you a lot more efficient if everything was right there.
You know, if people come in with HHW, they don't have to drive all the way up on the hill. They just come over to building 3 or 4, whatever, however it's numbered, you know. Yes, it can truly be done, yes.
I mean, I think I'm not saying that has to be another phase of this project, but going down the road, you know, we know that our road and bridge department is so cramped.
Right, right.
Plus, when you want to give us some more office space for road and bridge.
I enjoyed the meeting. We had a good meeting up there, and I think it's you gotta have somebody go over and do these kind of things, the things you find wrong, and especially with people that work in the building and stuff like that. And hopefully we make a good choice of what we do. So, thank you guys for allowing me to do that.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. That's a good report, Randy.
I'll get ahold of them and tell them what your wishes are.
Okay.
And tell them to get something back as soon as they possibly can. So, when they let me know.
Well, remember now, I think, Commission, we've also gotta have funds to pay for this.
Absolutely, that's why we need to have.
We gotta be finding the fund source here for all of it, so.
Yeah, I'll try to get that so you guys can do that one too. So.
Thank you, bud.
All right.
Okay, Mr. Felstry, you'd like to come forward? Sure.
We probably need to set up some more chairs.
Want that?
They're up there in a hot seat, please.
How many more folks are out there?
They're gonna want you to sit on the
Oh, I'm
seat
sorry.
over there, if you don't mind.
Yeah, you get the hot seat.
Yeah.
There are a lot of chairs behind the door here. How many people are out there? Do you know?
Anybody
put your
else?
name on the yellow tablet that's going around. Thank you.
This may not get a
We have a couple more seats in here. Anybody? Any more out in the lobby that wanna come in? Another, couple of chairs over here. There's a chair over here, Randy.
No. They're still putting their names on. Did everyone get your name on the tablet?
That's probably a hard chair for him.
There's another chair over here, Mr. Spiller.
Oh, we have to go back.
Well, there's not.
Yeah, there's another chair over here.
There's a nice chair over there.
Can you get through this? Okay, watch the bottom of the chair.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Kelsey.
Okay. Here this morning, looking for a resolution from the county commission relating to the submittal of our new CUP. This has come out of direct conversations with your council, Pat Hughes and Sharon. When we submitted what we felt was something very consistent with the Diamond Vista application, they reviewed it and asked that, given the scrutiny, that they would like some additional things added to the application. A lot of those are things that generally aren't submitted until construction time period. We agreed. We thought that it was important. So we worked through all of those issues, and we're finalizing a new CUP submittal, looking at setting up a process that would put us at some point in the end of May for a public hearing. One of the items was an acknowledgement from the county on the opportunity to put county rights-of-way into the both the development plan and the CUP. And we asked specifically whether there was any kind of approval process, and they said it was, and again, I'm going to defer to your council in terms of how we're proceeding on this issue, because we envision that you will have really 2 more times to take a look and consider an approval of any rights-of-way that would be in the CUP. First would be after review of the Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation, number 1. Secondly, when we do the roads agreement. So in discussions with your council, he agreed that it's really an acknowledgement that we have the right to propose the use of county right-of-way in the CUP and or development plan. It is not meant to be an approval, plain and simply because you don't have the perspective of the whole development plan or our use to make an approval. But we're working with Tina. We put a resolution together. I think she put it in your form. And this is a piece that we'd like to get done with you. We think planning and zoning would like to see it done prior to moving forward on the CUP process.
Did you say we have a resolution already presented to us?
No, you don't have a resolution presented.
Okay, so that's good.
There is some proposed language in that has been gone through with Pat Hughes, that he would be the one to advise on that. So,
And he will be here day 1?
yes.
I think, yeah, I believe we need to take that under advisement with Pat this afternoon.
Can you tell me your reason for having it different than road agreements and why it would be any different than what we've done before?
It's not any different. It's really just an additional step. In other words, we're asking for it prior to submittal. As we discussed it, you know, if we want to put land in the CUP, we have to have that under control. And in the case of the county right-of-way, you guys control the county right-of-way. And so I believe, and I can't speak for Mr. Hughes, but for an acknowledgement that county commission's aware that that's under consideration. That's not part of the approval process. It's only, it puts us in a position to finish our work and give you a complete package.
It doesn't change anything with the transmission part of it or anything like that, to where you can use county road right away for transmission?
Nope.
And it has no bearing on a road maintenance agreement either.
No, those are all independent and they'll be after the fact. Obviously, we need to get approvals every step of the way. And, once we've submitted the CUP, planning and zoning will have an opportunity to see, how county right-of-way might be utilized. So will you, I think, in the public approval process. And at that stage, I think, first your planning department and then commission itself will have the right to make those decisions. And then secondly, specifically, how we work together in the roads agreement will be in that separate document. So that would be a third time that you would see this. So those two things, I think, are done, have been done as a matter of course. This one, they're suggesting, given the fact that we've got a number of people in the room that want to make sure that this gets done right. I know Commissioner Novak has said that she wants to see things done right. So we're working along those lines to get you a package that doesn't have any questions in it being submitted.
I do have a question for you. If it
Sure.
doesn't have to do with the transmission lines, then what does it? What is it all about? What is the purpose?
Typically what you see is that we will put underground wire across county roads.
What wire if it's not a transmission line?
That's the wire from turbine to turbine that runs to the substation. The transmission lines are over and above that. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, they come out of ground, right?
Yeah, okay, so you have overhead and you have the underground ones.
Right.
And you're talking about putting the underground ones here in the, right
That
away.
would go in the CUP, yes.
Okay.
There's two pieces. We're submitting a development plan, which gives you the area that we're working with, and that includes the haul routes in, and then the access roads that we'll be using during the course of the O&M and so forth. But those won't be in the CUP. They will instead be in the development plan because they're used in the regular course of business in terms of the county.
Yeah, I'll clarify, Diane, when I was up there with Dave Mueller in Tampa project up there when it was going on, with your project, like, say you've got 90 turbines or 100, whatever you have, would about 8 be on a section or so, 7 or 8 be on one section, and then 7 or 8 on another section, on transmission?
4 to 8, yeah.
4 to 8?
Yeah.
Well, up there in that first mile, as you turn off of Highway 15 going to Tampa, they cross there, and when I was there locating lines, why, I also talked to Dave that day, and he showed me that once they take this section, wherever it may be, it's gotta go all the way back to the house, to the main transmitter house. So they was coming underneath that little 4-mile stretch there of road. That's what I think that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, and maybe just to give you, on a project of this size with approximately 80 turbines, we're gonna put generally 8 to 10 on one circuit. And each of those circuits needs to come all the way back to the substation. So if the substation's in the middle of the wind farm, we're gonna have to cross some roads to run that wire back. That's a standard process.
So may I question you on something else then? I did blow up some of your maps that you have right here, and I was looking at, I'm trying to understand this. And I guess what confuses me, and I know you haven't submitted your new CUP proposal yet, but my question to you is, and what really conflicts me a lot, is in your CUP proposal, you have got little tiny pieces of land that's in your CUP in the middle of, I don't know what that would be, an 80 or a whatever it is. You kind of just have a little thing, and over here you have a squiggly line coming up through. And so as I was going back and doing a little more study, I did get out all the maps and so on that we were presented with Diamond Vista. And it struck me very interesting because in their plan, you could just look at any one of their maps, and it's just awesome. I mean, it has all their haul routes outlined, it has their access roads outlined. You can look at it and you can see your transmission lines, how it goes from one turbine to the other turbine, to the other turbine, to the other turbine.
Right.
And the interesting thing is, overall, if you look at their proposed project, they don't have any, when they lease their property, they lease the entire area. I mean, it's just kind of cut and dried. And I believe that alleviated a lot of coming to the commission all the time for approval here or there, because as I see yours, I don't see any way possible that you're gonna connect your turbines, and I'm probably wrong, you can correct me if I'm all wrong here. But I don't see how it's at all possible for you to take your transmission lines and connect them from one turbine to the other without crossing land that you don't have in your CUP. And I'm assuming you will ultimately have to come back and extend that amount of land that you're gonna be needing to accommodate that, based on the way I see they've done it and what you're doing here.
We will not, no. We understand the process from the standpoint that everything in the CUP is the only place that we can put our infrastructure, okay? So, and we will have land that we control as well inside the development plan, right? So, we're kind of working.
Inside the development plan and the CUP is two different things?
The development plan's kind of an overlay that says, okay, here's how we're gonna access the site, here's how the pieces all work together.
So that's land that you're gonna be utilizing that is not highlighted? I mean, I'm trying to.
You will have a full copy of the development plan. The other thing, Commissioner Novak, is that also includes the existing CUPs.
Well, not the bright,
Not that
not the
one, I
bright
understand,
yellow.
but it'll make a lot more sense when you see the whole development plan and how it interrelates with the existing CUPs.
And will we be able to see that whole thing
You bet.
when you do the
Yep.
existing CUP?
Yep.
It'll be entirely different than this.
Exactly. Well, not entirely different, but we'll have more information for you. So-
And it will cover the entire area, not just
Like this?
Yep.
that new section.
Okay, so you're not gonna have these little squiggly lines anymore, right? You're gonna have
Between the
that whole.
development district and the CUP, we will have full access to everything that we need in terms of where we're putting our infrastructure and then how we're developing the site, getting access to it so you can see all of those pieces. We're probably better served to look at the new submittal. I think that'll help answer a lot of these questions for you.
Okay, so let me just clarify one thing, because I'm kind of lost here. So I think what you're telling me is when you do submit your new one, that this will not be what I'll be looking at, that I'll be looking at something more uniform like this, to where everything is.
Between the development plan and the CUP, yes, we'll have all of that access for you.
But I don't think we approve the development plan, do we? We just approve the
You
CUP.
approve the development plan as well.
When will we get that?
That would be submitted simultaneously. Yeah.
Well, we'll take that under advisement.
Sure.
With Pat.
I have one other question.
Okay.
Sure.
Let's say, Mustang, let's say Limestone, your west side of your project. Are you still taking leases west of Limestone, or actively pursuing leases west of Limestone?
West of Mustang, I think was kind of. where-
Okay, Mustang, somewhere in that.
Yeah, we're taking leases there, but they're gonna be stranded leases from the standpoint that for us to make it work and to, I think, meet our early commitment to move this infrastructure of the wind farm further east. We're not using those actively for putting any infrastructure on them, so they won't even be in the development plan. Having said that, because those landowners committed to us, one thing we do that was different from Diamond Vista is that we offer a land payment. And so everybody that has a lease will still get that land payment from the project. But we will not be using it either as part of the development plan or the CUP.
I guess a concern might be that if you're still taking leases further west, towards the west part of our county, that once this goes up, that it may develop clear across the county, because there is already leases in our western part of our county to other people for another company, not your company. But,
Let me say that since the meeting that we had with the commission
Yeah.
6 weeks ago,
Okay.
we have not signed any more leases. And in fact, we may release some people that might want to be released instead. And anybody, as I said, because we made our commitment to them and it's in contract, will continue to make those payments if they'd like.
Mr. Foster, I have another question I was gonna ask you before. This is so complex because it's been, I don't know what, 10, 12-year ongoing thing. So when we're discussing, are we discussing your number 5 CUP, or are we discussing the project? Because I noticed in a lot, and I know in the old CUP, which is what I'm reading, is what was submitted
Right.
originally. In some cases, it's referred to as the project,
Right.
which this is the project map. And in some cases, it's referred to as the CUP, which is highly unusual to have, I want to make it clear as to what I'm dealing with. Am I dealing with the project, or am I dealing with the CUP? Because it's two different things.
I'm not sure that it is two different things. And first of all, because we've got existing CUPs in place, right, that are already zoned appropriately. We're adding to the CUPs, and we're giving you an integrated overall development plan. And the other thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna make some big maps, right?
To be what?
Some big maps, so people can, take a look at how everything interrelates.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this is still a tiny map, and this is twice the size of the map that I originally had. So for us blind people, this is not easy. And I was looking on your map, and one of the reasons I blew this up was because I noticed that you actually have some, and I know this is gonna be, but you have some turbines strategically located right on the very edge of that little yellow line. Now, I also read your CUP, and you do have in there throughout that, which is common, that you do have the right, and it probably, even though you're designating this area right here for a turbine, as you go along, you may be able to move it, or you may need to move it. This is not in stone that you'll move it, or that will be the exact location, right? You can move them around. That's the way they're made up. That's the way it's written.
When we get to the final construction plan,
Mhm.
they will be built where you see the final turbines. Let me say that we worked through with your attorney and with your zoning director to make sure that we're in 100% conformance with all your regulations in terms of fall down and what fits in the CUP and what, and those issues. And that's why I think when you see the new CUP, you'll have more comfort in being able to follow those issues. We think that this was very consistent with your regulations, but at their request, we've changed things so that we think it'll be easier and a better project for you.
Okay, so I guess, did you answer my question, that you're saying that they can be changed, but once you do the construction permit, then that location will not be changed?
That's correct.
Okay,
We are giving you what we think will be a pretty close to final turbine layout.
so can I ask you, why is it? Why? I mean, what's your strategy behind doing this little, in the middle of land? What would the purpose be? What does it benefit? I mean, it's just kind of unusual to me, and it's complex, and actually I don't know how the heck you make up a legal description on that little blob of land, how do you do that little squiggly thing on a legal description? I mean, what is the purpose?
I would suggest there will be changes, and as I said, we'll overlay the development district along with the CUP, so it'll all make a lot more sense, which we didn't necessarily do in that map.
Okay, so if
What you're saying in the final plan is, it's gonna look a whole lot more like what we were looking at on the Diamond Vista
Right.
project.
Okay, so
Between
it
the
will be
development
like this.
district and the CUP, yes.
So actually, in your leases, you are leasing, you're not just leasing one little blob out of an 80, you're actually leasing the 80,
In most cases, yes.
but not all.
most cases. I hate to say all, because you'll find an exception somewhere, but.
Okay, I didn't see, well, I guess there is a teeny exception in some of these, but not many, on the very edge. Okay. One other question, you said you were talking with Pat Hewings a lot. Do you speak with him quite frequently?
Not in the last week, I know he's been unavailable. As we worked through making sure that we met your standards, I think we had 3 conference calls with Sharon and Pat, and asked questions, and they gave us feedback. And the whole purpose was to make sure that we're on the same page and we give you something that fits all of your expectations.
I have no further
Okay,
questions.
we will take that under advisement, Pat.
You got too many Pats here. When you say Pat, I keep thinking who I'm talking to.
Mr. Pellsbury. Okay. It is now 12 o'clock, and we have a scheduled lunch break until 1 o'clock. So I'm gonna make a motion that we adjourn, and we will come back out of recess at 1 o'clock into
So is your
open session.
motion to recess, not adjourn, to recess?
Yes, we will be back in session with our legal counsel, Mr. Hughes, at 1 o'clock.
Second.
That's right. Just a question, is that gonna be all in executive session?
I don't see that it should be. The
I
question.
would say a big portion of it probably would be.
The first part of it is for sure, I guess we can't really answer that at this point.
Well, I know that if he's gonna answer any of the questions that I have, about zoning and things, that's public information. If he's not intending to take that
Yeah.
on today, then I guess maybe not, but I don't think they're appropriate for executive, just zoning questions.
Well, if there are things that he's advising the commission on regarding the, reviewing and the legalities of the zoning and those forth, then that potentially could be covered under attorney-client, if he's advising you on those things and looking into matters for you, so.
Okay, that answers your question, Patty?
Yeah, where's my?
I would sure think anything that has to do anything at all with planning and zoning, certainly should be open to the public, because that would affect all of us.
We'll take that under advisement with Mr. Hughes and move on from there, so best we can do. All right. Did we have a second to?
Yeah, I second.
Okay, then move in second, we adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
1 o'clock, huh? You want to ask a question?
That summer, remember, it was 100 degrees plus.
Okay, it's 1 o'clock, so I'm gonna call the meeting back into session. Next item is on the agenda is Pat Hughes, attorney-client business. So, at this time, I'm gonna move that we recess into executive session in order to discuss consultation with our attorney-client privilege, item number 2, pursuant to KSA 75-431-9B, to discuss wind project contracts with commission, Pat Hughes, and Sharon Olmsted. How long? 30 minutes?
Well, I would just like to say, anything discussed about the wind farm should be a public meeting, well, because it affects all of us.
Well, this is our in consultation with our attorney.
So he seconded.
I'm going to, yeah, I'm just waiting. Second.
And I have a question. Pat, I think you said it was for wind turbine contracts, so it doesn't have anything to do with zoning, right? It has nothing to do with the questions that I had to ask you about zoning, right?
We're going into executive session on the chairman's motion, and I think your motion dealt with, you said contracts, is that what you meant?
Wind-related matters with contracts.
Okay, I think wind-related.
It's wind-related matters that
Let's
pertain
talk
to the
about.
legal side
Okay,
of that.
yes, let's talk about that.
Okay, so
In which
that's,
case, it's going to include also topics that you have that are related to getting attorney-client privilege advice about the wind project.
okay, but not zoning specifically. We can talk
It's
public
going to,
specifically.
it's going to, if you have questions about zoning, I will be giving you advice about zoning as well.
Okay.
But if you're,
Are you gonna add that into your motion?
No, I probably won't ask very many
Okay.
questions.
Okay, and you seconded it?
Second, yeah.
but if you're gonna have any issues about zoning, that needs to be, well, when you aren't in executive session.
Anything that needs to be brought up in open session will be brought up in open session.
I think if you're just talking generally about zoning, it's open, but if you're talking, if they're asking for legal advice from their attorney, correct me if I'm wrong, then that is when it's covered by executive session.
And should we set on 30 minutes?
30 minutes, yeah.
Okay, and moved and seconded by Randy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we will resume back in here at 1:35 in open session.
You're ready.
Is this a continuation? Okay.
We are going to, out of executive session, no action taken. Then I'll move we recess into executive session in order to discuss attorney-client privilege pursuant to KSA 75-4319B with the commission, Sharon Olmsted and Pat Hughes.
Can we add Tina this time?
Yes, and Tina Spencer for 15 minutes.
And the topic,
And the topic will be legal matters of wind farm discussion.
Second.
Legal matters on wind farm.
All those in favor? Aye.
That's pretty general description.
I'm sorry, who seconded it?
I did.
Okay, good. Did you vote?
We did
Yes,
that.
you want
So, yes.
All right, thank you.
Okay, out of executive session, no action taken. The issue we're dealing with is the road right-of-way request. That was requested this morning from the NRS. And you have that resolution. I will read this resolution based on what was.
Are you making this a motion
Well,
at this point?
I was gonna make it just read it to what
For
it says
discussion.
publicly, for open session, so you know what it says. And at that point, we'll ask for any discussion, and we'll decide if we're gonna act on it. Okay. This is a resolution addressing the inclusion of Marion County road rights-of-way within the land area of the proposed wind energy conversion system for Expedition Wind LLC. It says, whereas pursuant to Marion County zoning regulations, the definition of wind energy conversion systems include within all components of the project, including the transmission lines, without respect to those lines would be within a road right-of-way. Whereas the Marion County regulations contain no exception which would permit the use of road right-of-way for the transmission line component of the WES without being within within the conditional use permit CUP area of the WECS. Whereas the CUP application must include any road rights-of-way which will be used as part of the WECS, which in turn will result in the mandatory notification of public hearing to those landowners in the incorporated area within 1,000 feet of the road right-of-way issue. Whereas Expedition Wind must have the county's permission to use the road right-of-ways and to include in the CUP application, or must have Marion County join as an applicant as to the road rights-of-way. Now there it be resolved that Marion County consents to Expedition Winds LLC's inclusion of any county roads and right-of-ways within the land area that might be included in the next 90 days to the extent only that such road rights-of-way are reasonably necessary to the development plan as presented with the conditional use permit application. This consent does not serve as an approval of the CUP and does not grant road rights-of-way crossing permit rights. You've all heard that. This is the resolution we've been working with Pat and with our legal consultant on to try to expedite things so we can either move forward but yet provide the best protection for the county.
In my understanding, it's not to, they don't give them the right of way to use the road. That, the way I understand it, later on with this resolution being passed, it will allow us to determine how to use the road right of way. We still have that right to do that, and that is probably will be at some point in time, either when the CUP comes to us or somewhere in this process, we will determine where the roads, what the right-of-ways can be used as. I will tell you my personal feelings is, if you see this top little spaceships right up here, that's what I consider, in my opinion, is road right-of-way being used, and that's what our permits use. That's what we allowed up north to the wind farm up there, was to cross, if they have right-of-ways on both sides, to cross with their stuff like that. So that's why I will be in favor of this here, that at some point I still have the right to determine what the road right-of-way will be. So that's my understanding, and that's where I'm at with it right now, that we can go ahead and do this, and it still allows us to have some control down the road.
Brandon?
Well, I would probably agree with you, Randy, on the fact that you know, it would sure probably be all right to either go across the road or go underneath the road if they're going from one CUP property to the next, like what you're talking about. I think under probably no circumstances, or at least under almost any circumstances, should we not allow for them to go down the road ditches with wires if they're going on participants. So I think if you do anything like this, you should specifically state only going underneath or across the road between to go down the ring road, you know, from one CUP application to the next, and you know that's what they're going to ask for. I mean, they're doing it one step at a time. I definitely think you need to table what you're talking about till either next week or till either next week or the week after, so we have time to, you know, time to try to figure out exactly what everybody's asking for, and that we really do this thing right. It just doesn't make any sense to go, well, it's okay to give them the road right away. We're going to say at some future time, well, we'll let you do this, but we won't let you know, we won't let you do that. This needs to be figured out before the right of ways.
Yeah, but this does not limit the county. This resolution does not limit the county in what we can do. This helps us from that point of view. We can determine we don't want any wires down ditches.
But then that needs to be stated.
And that's what I said, it will be later.
Yeah.
It will be.
Why won't it now? Why would you wanna
See,
vote on a
Archie,
resolution
now.
now, knowing that you're saying that you can change it later? Why would you do
Yeah.
that?
It just,
Well, I think I understand what Randy is saying. Let me just say it. This is the way I'm thinking of it. I would like to see the proposal of what roads they would be requesting to do this.
before you do the
Before we
whatchamajig.
do, yes. If I just
Exactly.
had something to show me what the proposal is, I would feel much more comfortable, rather than just shooting in the dark and giving a free realm, because who knows what's gonna come back, and then we already signed a resolution.
I think that's very important. You know, apparently you're not gonna do anything right now anyway, because you gotta figure all that stuff out. Take the proposal, you know, table it till either next week or the week after. I mean, you know, we really didn't know what was going to happen. I mean, if you go into executive session anyway, doesn't help for us to have our attorneys here. Well, anyway, I mean, you have the right to have your attorney here in executive session. You know, we need the right, you know, to respond to what's being said.
Okay.
Pat has his hand up there.
Yeah, just one comment, and Sharon, you can correct me if I'm wrong. We cannot put any infrastructure, wires under the ground, anywhere unless it's in the CUP. And so we're not gonna be disconnecting stuff. We need CUP land across the roadway, CUP land across the roadway to accept it. So Randy could probably figure out some way that we can get around it. Maybe I should ask him, but I don't see a way to get around meeting your requirements right now, the way it's been laid out to us. And so that's the way we're preparing our CUP.
And the resolution does state, and does not grant the right-of-way crossing permits. It's stated right here in the resolution. This does not give them any more authority. That's gonna have to be a part of the CUP that, you know, we can look at and make sure that this is the way we want it done.
Is resolution gonna be a change to Article 27? Which article is this resolution gonna be a part of? Where is it gonna show up on the county?
Not a change.
We're not changing no resolution. Or no
You're
ordinance.
implementing a new one?
No, this is just a resolution, what we're gonna allow, correct?
Yes, this isn't an amendment to the zoning code. All this is the county because the county has rights with respect to the road rights of way, giving the applicant the ability to include within the description of what they're asking for permission to use the road rights of way. What that will mean is that more people are going to be entitled to notice of the CUP application, because now those people who are within 1,000 feet of the area of the rights of way that would be affected by the CUP are also going to be in the notification area.
Does this also go for haul routes and for the use of the roads during the project, or is that future?
That is something that would be decided as part of the road maintenance agreement. This is only what's included within the conditional use permit area for the long-term use of the project footprint itself.
So why is the county trying to benefit and help a wind energy company so much right now? We don't even have a CUP on the table.
This isn't about helping them at all. All this is about is the CUP being able to be put on the table. There cannot be an application for the CUP that if they are going to need at any point for it to work, to use road rights of way, unless that road right of way is described within the CUP application. This doesn't give them anything. It only enables the process to move forward so that the county can decide yes or no.
So why are we needing a resolution right now? We have a wind farm in place in Tampa. What, did they not have the same problems and same issues there?
They had to go by, under the road use permit, they had to abide by it, and that was issues, they give you exact locations, and that's what these people will have to have, is exact locations. Then she has to see the exact location, she goes out, looks at that, but then it turns over to our road, whoever takes care of the road permission. I don't know if it was did you do that with Jesse?
I did not. I only
Who
did
did
the
it
road
with
maintenance
Jesse?
agreement.
On the one you're talking about up north?
The road maintenance agreement?
Yeah.
The road maintenance agreement I worked on,
Right.
and not the crossing.
Crossing permits, who did that one up north?
The commissioners approved the
Approved them.
road permits.
Somebody had to make sure they was at the right place. I don't remember.
I would assume that was the road superintendent.
Superintendent, yeah, Jesse probably did that. But that's all that's about.
Are we even sure on the validity of all of the previous Doyles and the piggybacking use of the previous Doyle CUPs? Are we 100% positive on the validity of each and every one of the previous Doyle CUPs?
I'm not at liberty to speak to that. I mean, I think we are, as far as, it sounds like, even if you find something, you have a statute of limitations on things, so.
Well, have you seen that thing on the original one, the road maintenance agreement? Have you seen that? The original one? It stinks, don't it? In my opinion, I guess.
Yeah, your opinion. Is that your motion, or are you gonna make a motion to that, Ken?
Well, we need a resolution. No.
Well, if you're gonna adopt that, I would like to make that revision and give you a resolution number, but
Yes.
if you want me to do that now.
And I think it's also due to Sharon turned the application down. In order for them to apply it again, just what Pat said this morning, he has to have that. If the county was not gonna allow him to do any road crossings, period, then there's no use to him to apply. Is that correct,
Yeah.
Pat?
And Randy, I would also say to that, and I agree with what you're saying. But again, I don't like making a decision in the dark. I would like to see a proposal, or at least a suggested. I mean, from Pat's conversation even this morning, when I pointed out some pictures and things like that, they're subject to change. I got that, but we have no picture here. I have no idea if it's 1 road, 10 roads, 7 mile, I have no idea.
Can I
So
just,
that's where I'm lost.
my comment is, unfortunately, we got a little bit of a chicken or egg process. I can't submit a CUP until you grant me the right to include road rights of way. And that's when you'll see the road crossings. And without this approval,
can't submit a CUP.
Well, I understand that, but you could submit a preliminary proposal giving us an idea as to what we're voting on. I mean, you could at least assist us in our understanding as to what we're doing. I mean, I think you could, I may be wrong,
But
but
the resolution isn't granting them anything.
I understand that. I understand exactly what you're saying.
But I think you need to write it that way, specifically stating it's only to go across the road. Otherwise, I think you should table making a decision until next week, until next week, to where we got a better chance to respond. I think, just going across the road, that's probably a reasonable request. But if you don't specifically limit it to only going across the road, it's just too easy to say, well, it's all right to go a little bit this way, a little bit that way. It needs to be more specific in the language, how you write it up.
But this resolution says that, though what Kent said, Randy, is it does not grant road or road right-of-way crossing permits rights. It does not even do that yet.
So
And it
why
comes
do we
later.
And if it's not addressed correctly in the application, the application's gonna get thrown out again.
What's the rush on getting the application in so quick? If we
What's the
can't
date?
make sure that everything is proper and in place, what is the rush for them to have to get another CUP application in right now? Maybe they ought to submit a proposal. Let you guys see exactly what they're talking about. Make sure that all of your citizens' rights are protected in the meantime. And take a little bit of time, just step back. What is the rush on pushing this so darn fast?
We've been in the dark about a lot of this. I'm all the time trying to catch up with the maps and where the placement of these turbines are. We need to have this information so the people of the county can decide what we need to do, see how it's gonna affect us. We're just shooting in the dark here.
I would, for
Yeah.
one, request a moratorium again, just to
We
give us
need a
some time to
moratorium.
get this stuff figured out and ironed out at the county level.
And cover
We're
more
not
than
ready
just
for
one.
any more wind farm discussion.
We're-
So I'm requesting a moratorium.
I am too.
I
Yeah.
request a moratorium.
I am too.
We're just absolutely letting this deal go too
The people of
We're
the county
letting
need
it
to
go
run
too
this, not Phil
far without figuring out exactly what we're gonna do.
As a taxpayer, as a county taxpayer, I demand the right to be protected as a non-participant. How can you protect me when you're gonna sign something and don't know the final result? That's all I ask.
Yes.
I'm a taxpayer, I've been waiting to build a house, actually, we already started it. This is our dream home.
12 years.
Let me say this is our dream home. We have spent years and years looking for land. We found land in Marion County. We fell in love with Marion County. The rhinos in town, we thought was cute and fun. It was a cute, active little community. So we bought the property. About a year into it, we found out about the second conditional use permit. We put everything on hold. We finally thought it was over, it was settled, it was done. We moved forward with building our new dream home that we're going to spend the rest of our life in until we die here. So we started, we put about $10,000–15,000 into it, getting it done. Then we find out it's been built, that it's moved forward. It's been sold, and it's going to move forward. We've already made decisions to scale back on the house, so the value of the new house is not going to be what it was before. We will probably have to sell this house, because this is not our dream to live in a wind farm. We fell in love with the rural agriculture community that Marion County provided us. We did not dream of living in a wind farm. So we have scaled our plans back. We have cut costs. We have cut the amount of money we're going to spend in the house. And we will probably sell the house if we can. Now, our dream was when the time comes and we could not live on the land anymore due to age, we would have tremendous value in this house. The orchard we planted, the house we built, would have tremendous value, and that would go into our nest egg for retirement. So we could move into, a regular community as we became elderly. Now, the value of that house will go down, regardless of what you guys say. Due to the fact that we don't want to live there is a result of the fact that real estate values will go down. Look at all the people here in protest against the wind farm. That should tell you something, that the value of real estate will go down. So, I propose that you protect me as a county taxpayer, as a member of this community, and as someone who is living in the footprint. I would request that you protect me and not sign in the dark something that might change after you've already signed it. Just protect me too. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Agree, Peter.
Mr. Chairman, and I appreciate the dilemma that they're suggesting. The issue, though, is, and going to the fundamental, is show us some examples. I think what they really want us to do, and we're prepared and ready to do, is show you what we'd like to build.
Not
Be
what you'd
accountable.
like to build, what
What
are
you're
you
going to
going
build.
to build?
Yeah.
This keeps
Permanent,
changing.
yes.
Well, it's changing, I think, partly because the county's asked us to.
Well, you're nickel and dime us, Jeff, coming up here with your changes, and we can't fight this, we don't know what's going on.
We need a moratorium.
We need
for
time
our
to be able to look at
protection.
this and know what's coming at us.
We've been asking and asking and asking. Can you, anybody up here give us a good
Ma'am,
reason
please,
why you are not giving or
until you're asked
discussing?
to speak, please. You have the.
Make a motion to pass resolution 2019-05.
Before you do, I'd like to request a table for a week or two also, because I got questions to my attorney about the county's right of way and their easements.
We have two attorneys here this morning.
Well, I know, but do they grant, okay, because the county has granted easement on my land, and the county then give that easement away? I haven't questioned into my attorney about that. I think you need to table it until some legal
Okay,
questions.
right now we're dealing with this
And that's what I'm
resolution.
asking about, is road right of way.
I mean, that's really, all we're asking for is just a moratorium. You know, that seems like, that seems like the easy way out. If there, well, if you would rather, if you would rather fight a lawsuit, well, you will have one by next week.
We've been advised that this does not hinder anything. That's why we had the meeting with our attorney today. He explained to us, that this is just so that what Sharon did was turn it down. And so in order for them to give it to us, that allows her to go ahead and look at the rest of it, the whole proposal, and get it started. So that's
So why does it need to be under executive session?
We haven't done that in executive session.
We're in executive session for 45 minutes.
We weren't dealing with the CUP.
But anyway, still make my motion to pass resolution addressing with the inclusion of Marion County road rights of way within the land area of a proposed wind energy conversion system for Expedition Wind LLC. That's my motion.
Okay. I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
I vote for a moratorium so that we can see and get a proposal and make a decision knowing what we decided upon.
Resolution number 2019-05 passes 2-1. Okay, that was the last thing on the agenda for the day.
I think that there was also, I think that you had asked Pat to come about questions. The reason that we had scheduled him and also was to discuss any questions about Article 27 and any legal matters that you had in regard to that. Was that something that you're still wanting to discuss with him too?
I'll discuss that with you if I can.
I don't have any.
Oh, to go into executive session?
If you want to discuss it further, then that's.
Okay, no, if I can't discuss it in public, then, no, I don't.
Oh, well, I guess it's up to the commission whether you want me to talk, answer questions without the executive session.
You all need to sign this, since you just adopted it. I need your signatures.
So,
Is
no,
there anything-
I'll withdraw that.
Is there anything illegal about publicly discussing it?
No, the only thing that happens if you publicly discuss it is you waive the attorney-client privilege. It's not illegal for you to do that. You have the power to do that. The privilege exists for a reason. It exists so that you can have clear dialogue that you're not concerned about one way or the other, the implications of the things that are talked about in the executive session. So you can get good advice.
Diane, you had the question, that was your question and stuff. How do you feel about it? Do you have any problem with discussing it in public?
I have no problem discussing it in public, no. I truly don't. I mean, everything that I'm gonna bring up, or any question that I have, was already discussed in planning and zoning in not publicly notified meetings specific, but the articles have all been done in a public setting, privately, previously, so I don't have any problems discussing it in the open, no.
So would it be, I just have a question, would it be appropriate to bring up the general points of concern in open session, and if it gets to the point where
There's certainly, you guys are free to talk about this if you have a particular matter that you want me to weigh in on. Are you asking me to weigh in this discussion you're going to have? I mean, you can certainly talk about it among yourselves freely about the issues of what happened with Article 27 in the past. And I can give you information about what I know about that to the extent that's helpful for your discussion. If you're asking me for an assessment or a legal opinion about that, you might want to think twice about doing that.
So that portion for sure would need to be in closed session.
Right.
For the actual advice from the attorney as far as how to move forward or how to address any, potential concerns.
I guess I can't, you always have to provide your legal assistants the right to protect you. And to step over the line sometimes is a tough line. The way I understand, I can tell you my interpretation of my personal one, is that Article 27, I think what Diane was talking about here a week ago or so when you brought it up, and that's when I said, let's talk to the attorney. I think what I can tell you is that I was worried about statute of limitations of whatever's done, whether it's right or wrong, has a statute of limitations usually. And whether we've done things right or wrong in the past sometimes is questionable. And I think that's what Diane's question is. But if certain things don't happen, if it just goes along, like for 2 years here now, we've already had the other wind farm take over, start and do this, get in through here. Nobody has ever tested anything until last week, public or youth. So that makes me to believe that the statute of limitations is passed.
Okay, let me ask then that for the attorney then, for statute of limitations. If Doyle 1 did not meet all of the requirements under Article 31 that it was governed under, and it has expired according to Article 31, and then Article 31 was transposed sometime, that's the question. We don't know when Article 31 became 27. When Article 31 expired Doyle 1, does that not mean that Doyle 1 is expired, or is it just now that it's like 5 years later, don't matter, it's okay?
I don't believe he can answer your question.
It's a statute of limitation question. That would be a legal question.
No, I don't think his point is that I don't know the answer. it said, I don't represent you, I represent the county commission.
Okay, all right, well then, that's fine. I guess like Randy says, then there'll just be 3 or 4 attorneys up here to answer the question.
So I will just say though, I will say a couple of things on the articles that caught my attention as I was reading them, because it's more than just Article 27. One article leads into another, leads into another, leads into another. But what brought it to my attention was back in 2016, actually in December of 2016, is when Article 27, the original Article 27, that took place in December 2011, actually was replaced with the new one in December 2016. I was at some of those meetings, not because I was interested in that subject, but just because I was trying to learn the process that went into zoning and things like that. So I know that there was never a big crowd there. I know it was just a regular meeting. I know it wasn't publicized. I think it's been established. I'm not sure. I'm not going to say that for sure, but I've never seen a newspaper publication that was actually publicized that the Article 27 was being replaced. But in my research into the articles, so I got a copy of the original Article 27 that was in place, and I reviewed it. And interestingly enough, the old Article 27 was a decent article, and it covered both sides: people in favor of people's rights, people's process to, I don't care if it was a wind farm or a hog farm, chicken factory, whatever it was land use, and in particular areas. And so in looking at the old Article 27, and it addressed the remedies, it addressed different provisions and so on and so forth, and it really attacked or really brought out certain points on Article 27 and 106, development plan process for land use, for noise, public safety, health, and the impacts to the cultural heritage, and the integrity of the land. In Article 27-108, also provided for a power purchase agreement, which is now gone. And then, of course, if you read the Article 27, it always refers back to Article 19. And Article 19, in and of itself, is an awesome article, because it, again, covers all kinds of things, especially like the purpose. The purpose of Article 19 is to establish virtually all land uses except agricultural and traditional single-family. And the intent of this article is to require a conditional use permit for the purpose of land uses. And it's allowed as permanent use as one of the established zoning districts. And then finally, it says, well, not finally, but one part of the other things is, it says the establishment of any land use requiring conditional use permit or any change or use of the premises existing for the first time of the effective date of the regulations permitted is provided by a development plan in sufficient detail. And a statement as to the purpose of the use of the structure and the premises for the Planning Commission in Article 12. So now we're going to Article 12. But continuing on, finally, it does say, following the receipt of the Planning Commission's recommendation, the governing body may, within the specific herein, provide permits for such building structures or uses, provided that public health, safety, morals, and general welfare not be adversely affected. And it does go into detail about that and provides a lot of useful information and regulations to protect everybody all the way around. And then I came across a memo that was presented to Emma Teichman and Mr. Yearout from Diamond Vista, Bryce Barton, Brianna Baca, and Greg Musil, and it was a proposed review of the Marion County wind provisions in 27. And I read this, and I don't even know where I got it. Seriously, I don't. But I got it. And this doggone thing was written up by Mr. Greg Musil, who is the attorney to Diamond Wind. And it's all about Article 27. And it is verbatim, all the articles, one right after the other, what their recommendations are. And sure enough, if you read our Article 27, here it is. Exactly as they proposed it, very closely. Is that relevant? Probably not. but it's interesting to me. Then you go into Article 12, and that's the one where you have the restrictions. What certain different type of, and not just wind farms, but hog farms, or whatever it is you want to talk about, when big projects come into the county, certain restrictions and things that need to be adhered to. That's also in Article 27, the original Article 27 that is applied to. Then when we get to the new Article 27, personally, I like to refer to it as the Wind Farm Handbook because it's all about wind farms. It's all about wind farms. Almost every bit of it is. And the one thing that really is stunning to me, and I think Mr. David there had brought out at one of the meetings here, which really come to my attention too, that it does say that to the extent there are conflicts between requirements of this Article 27 and other provisions, which are the other articles that I briefly touched on, Marion County zoning regulation, it is intended that the purpose and intent of this Article 27 shall control the interpretation of the zoning regulations, which therefore renders all the other stuff useless.
So all our protections are stripped out.
Read the articles and you'll answer your questions. So that was my concern, and that's what I wanted to address. That's why I say, that is the sole reason why I say we need a moratorium, because when you go back to our original articles, I'm not saying we don't need to revise them to come up to date to accommodate wind farms, hog farms, whatever. I think we should be fair on both sides, I really do. But when I see what has happened, how it happened, what is missing, what has grown, I'm very concerned. I am concerned for our people. We're going to be here forever. Anyway, that's our intent.
And is it not true, Diane, that we can also, before we vote on this, if there's setbacks or things that we do not like, we can change those. Some are not can't change them. How can I word that?
You
Well,
can
Impose them.
You can impose conditions on an approval that are more strict than the minimum conditions that are set out in the code.
And Randy, I agree with that, and I understand that. As we go along, yes, we have the right to do this and right to do this. My point is, why can't we just put it all on the table up front? Not just for this company right here, but any future company. If we get our articles straight, we don't have to go through this stress time and time and time again. So, yes, it's right what you said, Randy. We can change that, but my question is it right? I say no.
Well, I think we've got to worry about it because just not only these people here, there's nobody here sitting here that's over on the west half of our, well, where you live, don't you?
Yeah, I'm about 6 miles from McPherson County.
Okay, there's people over there, you've got, or was approached by a contract other than this.
We have neighbors that have signed leases, yes.
Yeah, so there's other people out here with contracts on the other side of our county, whatever, and that's a concern that we should be concerned about for the future.
And you're right, and I agree with you, Randy, and that's my point exactly, because we have already trade wind, okay, and it's there, and now we have Expedition right here, and we're putting them through undue stress as well as the people, not knowing and doing things haphazardly, but also the future. All these companies coming in, and once you have 2 of them, how are you going to stop 3 or 4 or 5? What's this county going to look like? Is that what we want? I mean, I'm just asking a question. I mean, I think really, in all fairness, to do the right thing, we need to just do the right thing and get these articles in order to protect everybody. And then move forward.
The easiest way.
It's the right way, in my opinion.
It's Charlie's turn.
Questions? I've got a friend, the same thing, we farm almost past the days. Place, farmless, once he's got a brand new, probably $500,000 house, he puts big windows with both directions. He moved in from Escondido. He wouldn't be here today if he wouldn't be working, most likely. He's the same thing, he's hassled you guys on a few things, I know that, he told us that, now he's got his house built, it's the same way that they're gonna live there forever. He's got a beautiful house that's gonna have windmills on every side of it, if this thing doesn't happen. And he's got 40 acres to say no on, that's it, at the most.
Anyone else?
I think
We can open up for
Uh-huh.
public comment. It can be on,
You
wind
cited
farm,
it,
it can be on anything else,
I
so.
think I'm gonna think
Your opportunity to speak.
Yeah, I don't wanna elaborate a lot because a lot's been said, but, I guess I was one that said before, if it's a good deal today, it'll be a good deal tomorrow. And you mentioned about protecting the county people, and I hate to say it, but you might be protecting yourselves by going back and relooking, getting all your, it's kinda like in college when you had a paper. I remember some of the math classes, we took the test and they were so difficult, we gotta take the test home afterwards to correct our answers because the instructor wanted us to get it right. Never was easy then either. But I'm just saying, you know, I understand the pressure they're under, or any of them, because of all the various incomes and tax breaks, and I'm not critiquing them. You know, if the light's going to turn yellow, and I see I'll probably get through as fast as I can on a green light before it turns yellow and red. I get that, but and I mentioned one other time, so I don't want to beat it to death, but it's use the right thing to do, Diane. But sometimes you just have to do the right thing, even if it's disciplining your kids. Say, well, I don't like it, but I'm going to do it right. And I just encourage you to do it right because it's not a big race. And you know, I don't know how long those things last, Mr. Filstering, but if they last 5 years, like they depreciate equipment, if they last 20 years or 50 or 30,
As
anyhow.
much as 30.
And you know, it could last longer. I mean, if they're built in good shape. So I'm just echoing it. I know you guys know the various opinions, but I sure wouldn't be afraid to step out and say, I think I'm going to do it the right way. Thank you.
Anyone else?
And we are here to live our lifetime. A few people are here aren't.
Anyone else? Okay. If not, that was the end of the agenda.